Oh, sorry.
Something, yeah.
My student loans are under 20,000 for the first time ever. I'm going to lean to the right so that people can't see all of the junk that is behind me.
It's there's worse.
How upset would you be if I called the cops for this dog that wandered into the office?
Police are soon.
Yeah, but it says if anyone wants to foster her, please call 610.
She doesn't live in the house. There's Chihuahua dogs, but she lives with them.
Yeah, but it's kind of site specific to certain chihuahuas. Hey, George.
I'm
Hello.
sure.
You're not working today. Wow.
No, not today. I'm
It's a
taking.
rare occasion that you're on.
Yeah, I thought I'd drop in a little bit. I'm taking one weekend before the craziness of June starts.
Oh, yeah.
How are you guys this weekend?
No. Lynn's going to go to her dad's. So,
Hey, Nice.
and go help out, and I'm gonna stay with the cats and have to clean up after 4 furry elephants. So. Oh, I don't hear any complaints from Jeff. It's wonderful. See that? It's like nice and quiet. You know, my back is killing me. Don't hear that anymore. See that? I can't even hear him. It's great.
He's
I get the old chair now.
feedback.
So are you booking that place for Jeff's birthday? The
The lobster place?
no, the ball pit room. What's that place we saw?
The
The
slide room.
Yeah.
I'm thinking we could have fun.
I think we would give the 12-year-olds a run for the money.
We should go to we should go to Supercharged Entertainment in Edison. They have they have the largest indoor electric go-kart track.
Jeff is acting a little sophisticated. It's too sophisticated for us.
You're right, there is an echo.
Yeah, I don't know
If this is going to work, I don't know what the
Because
echo.
you're coming through here. There is an echo. I think you're coming through here. No, you know what? You're using the earbuds to listen, but you're not using the microphone on the earbuds. That's a problem. Oh, shoot.
Is that better?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, but I'm hearing the echo to you.
Oh yeah, there's an echo on Jeff's side.
Is there an echo on my side?
No, I don't hear an echo on your side.
I do. I think it's this.
Yeah, because you're coming in through two
both.
audio. You're coming in through 2 audio input sources.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Did I move out of the room?
That's all I can think of, George.
Well, then you can't be our guest.
You wise ass.
Well,
That's
I
the
don't
only
wanna
thing I
ruin
can
the
think of
show.
is if you go downstairs.
Well, I could do that. I just don't want to ruin your show.
You're not, because
You're not.
you'll be far enough away that it won't be an echo at that point. It's the
Okay.
2 audio. George is right. It's the 2 audio input.
Then I will just relocate.
See that? You had to throw your wife out of the room. I don't know. Don't get it. I just don't.
Jeez. Why do I even pretend that I know how to type? Like, why do I even fake it?
You should use like the voice mode thing where you just speak in.
I've started to use that an
speak,
awful lot
okay.
more.
Yeah.
I have started to use voice texting an awful lot more. Okay. You know what I'm going to do? It's 6:04. We're just going to wait for 6:05. Nice even. Nice even start. Oh, I have the chair on.
I know.
What's that? Don't. Oh, well then we could both. Yeah. Massage feature. Yeah.
I sent you the lumbar.
That's what this
support
show
pillow.
really is. It's like an audio radio massage. It's really what it is when you think about it. It's like a radio massage. It's like a massage for your brain. Okay. Let's see. I have a feeling one of these is not going to connect. Would you like to guess which one? Just a guess. Oh, no, there we go.
Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
Do you want a man for president who's seasoned through and through, but not so doggone seasoned that he won't try something new? A man who's old enough to know
And young enough to do.
well, it's up to you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you.
But it's Kennedy, 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 for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
Do you want a man with spirit who is not afraid to fight?
A man whose record shows that he will fight for what is right.
A loyal man who'll bring the job a fresh new point of view? Well, it's up to you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you.
Cause it's Kennedy, 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 for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
And do you deny to any man the right he's guaranteed to be elected president, no matter what his creed?
It's promised in the Bill of Rights to which we must be true.
So it's up to you, it's up to you. It's strictly up to you.
And it's Kennedy, 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 for me. Kennedy, 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 Kennedy.
Do you like a man who answers straight, a man who's always fair?
We'll measure him against the others, and when you compare, you cast your vote for Kennedy and a change that's overdue. So it's up to you, it's up to you, it's strictly up to you.
Yes, it's Kennedy, 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 for me.
Kennedy, 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 Kennedy,
From my humble second bedroom here in the Saucon Valley, part of the Lehigh Valley in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, part of these United States. Still, sort of, for now, at least parts of us, sort of acting American-ish. North American continent, Western Hemisphere, part of this planet Earth. The only one we have. Third rock from the sun in the Terran solar system, part of the Milky Way galaxy. This is the Kennedy Effect. TKE tonight, live with you for the very first day of June 2025. It has felt more like fall today. I would say more like March than it has felt like June, but the heat is coming this week. In fact, I'm going to look right now just for fun. 74 tomorrow, 82, 89, 91. It's going to be summer this week. Very, very soon. A little cloudy. You can still see some light coming in. Sun trying to come out. It was, I'd say, mid-60s today. Definitely felt more like March than June, but we are already here, the very first day of June 2025. We are halfway through this 2025, and to be honest, at least the sooner we get the next 2 years over with, the better. Year and a half-ish. And certainly the quicker we get the 4 years over, even better. Let's get through the business end of the program, shall we? We are live right now on the Facebook pages of Ghost Claw Productions, Hot101.net, Our Revolution Pennsylvania, and the TCP Media Group. We are live, of course, on our home group Facebook page for all things that surrounds the Kennedy Effect and TKE tonight. That is, of course, That Other Side of Information. That Other Side of Information. We are live there as well. We will see your comments and questions if you put them right there. We are also live on over 100 different places across the Facebook universe, and to every single individual group, both large, small, local, regional, statewide, national, global, whether it is a radio-focused group or a politics-focused group, doesn't matter to us. We simply thank you very, very much for allowing us to be part of the corner of the Facebook universe that you helped create. So if it is your own personal timeline, group, page, whatever it might be, thank you, thank you, thank you for allowing us to be part of your corner of the Facebook universe. We are live right now on not just one, but two YouTube channels, because one is simply not enough to contain us. You can't stop us. You can only hope to contain us. But two is not enough to contain us either. 2 YouTube channels. Right now we're on the YouTube channel of That Other Side of Information. Does that sound familiar? Sounds like our Facebook group, right? It is. It also is our YouTube channel, That Other Side of Information. And we are live right now on the YouTube channel of Ghost Claw Productions Radio. Hearty hello to the over 12,000 subscribers that we have live at GCPR YouTube channel. We strongly encourage you to become a subscriber to both channels. We would love for you to be a subscriber to both channels. It doesn't cost you anything to subscribe to either channel. You can become a super subscriber and receive additional content and perks and notifications and all kinds of fun stuff by becoming a paid quote-unquote super subscriber. But if you'd like to become a standard subscriber, you do not need to pay a single thing. What you get from being a subscriber is you get notifications to let you know when GCPR is live on the air. It doesn't matter what the show is. As soon as we hit that live YouTube channel, you will know about it, and you can catch up on everything there at youtube.com/GhostClawProductionsRadio, youtube.com/That Other Side of Information. The audio, of course, blasts around the globe via 2 global internet radio stations. One was one of the very first, Hot101.net, and a hearty hello to the entire Hot101.net family, of course. Hot101.net, www.hot101.net. If you can connect to the internet below, on, or above the earth, you can listen to Hot101.net. It's very simple. And, of course, the best part, beyond the great music, the talented DJs, and this little program, you can listen 100% for free. 100% for free. The best price of all, for free. You can listen to us here at Hot101.net. We are with you every Sunday from 6 p.m., every Tuesday from 8 p.m., and every Thursday from 8 p.m. right here at Hot101.net. You don't need the main website, though, to listen. If you don't want to use that, you can use our Apple app at the Apple App Store for Apple devices. You can use the Android app that can be found at the Google Play Store for Android devices. And for all other types of devices who may not be Apple or Android, you can use the TuneIn radio app. Go up to the search bar, type in Hot101.net, and you are listening, 100% for free. Our other radio station is the radio station I am honored enough to own half of. That is GCPR, Ghost Claw Productions Radio, GCPR, GCPR.live, GCPR.live. Same thing at GCPR. It's the same thing, completely for free. If you can connect to the internet, you can listen to us through our main website, gcpr.live. You can also find out everything you ever wanted to know about our station and more. There's merchandise there. You can find out biographies of the hosts, shows, descriptions of all the different shows on our, I usually say show synopses, but maybe I should make that a little simpler for me to say. Show descriptions right there at gcpr.live. And of course, we have a fully functional Android app, as well as an Apple app underway. I almost said we had the Apple app. We're not quite there yet. Fully functional Android app. So if you have an Android device, you can download the GCPR Android app and be listening again 100% for free. Phone line is open, 267-227-9189, 267-227-9189, and we start off. The boss is in the house today. Did George change it? Did you change the name? That's funny. Did you change your name on the screen? Because I didn't. Did you do that?
No.
No, I did.
You did it. Oh my goodness, that's very brave of you to admit that, and to admit it to the world live on the air. That's true. Because if I knew I didn't do it, because if I had done it, it would have said the boss. But the missus is a little softer, perhaps. Let's start off the program by saying welcome to the boss, and welcome, of course, to George. George, of course, did the season finale of his show yesterday, from
Ooh.
2, no,
Yeah,
One-
from 2 to 3:30.
2 to 3:30.
We had Mark Myers on, who is a great model maker, and I think he's one of the best model makers in the country. We also had Ray Vaughn, who's also a model maker, and we had Chris Hunter, son of Jeffrey Hunter, from
Where
the original
would
Star
be-
Trek series.
So if somebody missed that, and why they would have missed that, I don't know. But if they had missed it, where would be the best place for people to watch a recorded version of that?
You can watch it on the GCPR YouTube channel.
Absolutely, you can. If you ever miss any of the programs that are live on GCPR.live, you can go to our YouTube channel. We're live there right now. But if you should ever miss any of the live programs, you can go to youtube.com/Ghost Claw Productions Radio and watch all of our programming in a recorded version. You can catch up on everything. You can catch up on everything at GCPR that you may miss by going to our YouTube channel, Ghost Claw Productions Radio, at youtube.com/Ghost Claw Productions Radio, and watch all of our programming there, so you never have to miss anything. You never have to miss anything. You might miss it live, but that doesn't mean that you have to miss it. So check it out, youtube.com, Ghost Claw Productions Radio. So a hearty welcome to Donna, to Elijah. Supposedly there's 8 folks watching, and I don't know where the other ones are. The names did not pop up, so if I'm missing your name, let us know that you're there. We'd always love to know where you're listening from, not your street address, but Elijah might be in whatever town Elijah may be in. We'd love to know where you're listening from. I happen to know Donna's in Missouri. We know that already. Donna, long time, very loyal, inexplicably loyal to the program. We know where you are, but if you're new to the program, we'd love to have you drop in just a first name and where you're listening from, what town, what city, what state, what country. Because I do want to give a special shout out and a special hello to the listeners and viewers from outside the United States. Both, well, really all 3 things. This program, Hot101.net, and GCPR.live all have significant, measurable, like proper listenership and viewership from outside the United States. So if you're listening or watching from outside the United States, we'd love to know where you're watching. Lewis just dropped in from Pocono Summit, which is north of us by about, I wouldn't say quite an hour, George. Maybe Pocono Summit's not too far from you, I don't think. Yeah. So maybe 45 minutes or so north of where I'm sitting, speaking with you.
Yeah, I think it's like 45 minutes.
I think it's about 45 minutes from here. Just let us know where you're at. It'd be very neat to know. And other people who are listening and watching in the chat, they get to find out where everybody's listening from as well. And I think it builds community. That's all. Nobody needs to come to your house. We don't need to know exactly what street and house number and all that stuff. It's just curious if you're listening from New York City or Philadelphia or Las Vegas or Bangkok or London or Berlin or wherever you might be listening from. It would be neat to know where you're listening from. So I hope that you'll do us a small favor dropping into the chat here at the Kennedy Effect TKE tonight and let us know where you are listening from. So on the Thursday program, I assigned homework for you, mighty listeners. Now, Donna has already said that the dog ate her homework, so she will be receiving demerits. And will have to, you may still turn in your homework, Donna. You may turn it in late, but you've already lost an A. And for every show that it's late, you drop down the scale. We remember, we all had a teacher that did that to us, I think. That if you didn't get your homework in on the date assigned, you lost a letter grade for every other day that it was late. But we assigned you homework on our Thursday program because one of the topics that we were going to talk about on Thursday but did not get a chance to fully suss out was Project 2025 is now 2/3 implemented. That means of the 904, that means at least in theory, of the 914 pages, over 600 of them are now implemented. Our government is now two-thirds. Uh-oh. We'll have to look into that one. A little breaking news there. We'll get to that in just a second. We're two-thirds down the road toward the full implementation of Project 2025. We're two-thirds of the way there. If it was a 100-mile-long road, we're 66 miles in. Our government is, by and large, already unrecognizable. So my homework to you on Thursday was, and remains, what is the end game? What is the end game? What do the billionaires really want? What do they want this country to look like when Project 2025 is fully 100% implemented? Now, I say that with the understanding that some of what's in Project 2025 calls for changes to the Constitution. That's not easy. It does not happen quickly. There are mechanisms, obviously, to amend the Constitution. It was built into the Constitution. Jefferson called the Constitution a living document that should be revisited every generation to make whatever changes are necessary to it. That said, Project 2025 does call for changes, amendments in the Constitution itself to make sure that corporations are people and that money is speech, and codify those things into the Constitution, not just through court challenges and court decisions, but make them actual law, constitutional law. Which is interesting, of course, for a group of people who seem to hate the Constitution and only seem to pay attention to it whenever convenient, shall we say, especially economically convenient, that they would want to see the Constitution changed and use it as a mechanism to further their own aims when they simply ignore it at will. But your homework was to tell me, in your thoughts, to look down the road a little bit, try to look out into the future a little bit, and tell me what this country would look like when Project 2025 was fully implemented. We're two-thirds of the way there. What do you think the United States is going to look like if and or when the remaining one-third of Project 2025 is implemented? What do you think this country looks like? So if anybody did their homework, now is a great time to report to us what your homework findings or what your thoughts, your musings, your ideas actually are. Donna mentions in the chat, corporations are people and women are incubators. Donna's trying to get her homework done. She admitted just a couple minutes ago she didn't do her homework. Now she's trying to slip her homework in under the door on the weekend when I don't have office hours. That's kind of what that's about. But that's all right, Donna. We'll let you get away with it for now. You could still get a B on your project, maybe not an A, but you could still get a B unless you want to deliver the teacher an apple, which would be fine with me. I prefer Granny Smith. What does this country look like? What is left of us? What does the United States look like? Does it look anything like the country that we knew, that we grew up in, that we were born into? Or is it something completely different? Does it look more Russian? Does it look more Hungarian? Does it look more like 1920s Italy and 1930s Germany? Does it look more like The Handmaid's Tale and like The Man in the High Castle? What?
Yeah, MANGA. Make America Nazi Germany again.
Nice.
Manga is also Japanese. It's a Japanese
word for what?
It's like anime. Manga, I believe. Yeah, I believe. I thought it was.
What do the Japanese know about anime? I never would have. I wouldn't understand. I am trying to find the breaking news out of Colorado. There it is. So this just came in 11 minutes ago. We don't usually do breaking news on this program. But when something this big happens, I think we better pay attention to it. So you're not relieved from your homework. We will talk about at some point during the course of the program. And we're taking the program tonight, by the way, by individual hours. We're going to get you at least to 7 o'clock, and then we will take it from there to see how the discussion is going and so on. This just came in 11 minutes ago from The Guardian. Yes, my God, I actually used The Guardian. I don't use The Guardian much anymore because they put up a paywall, and it's it ain't a cheap one. So we don't go to The Guardian the way we used to. We've been going lately to the Associated Press, the BBC, CBC, and NPR. But this is from The Guardian. This is breaking news. Dateline, Colorado. FBI investigating attack with Molotov cocktails in Boulder, Colorado. Colorado Governor Jared Polis calls it a heinous act of terror and says he is closely monitoring the situation. This is written by Maya Yang of The Guardian, Mayayang of The Guardian. The FBI is investigating an attack in Boulder, Colorado. FBI Director Kash Patel, there's 4 words I never thought I would say very much in my life. FBI Director Kash Patel announced in a statement Sunday afternoon. Patel said that federal and local law enforcement were at the scene and would share updates as more information became available. Colorado Governor Jared Polis said that he is closely monitoring the situation, adding, quote, "My thoughts go out to the people who have been injured and impacted by this heinous act of terror. Hate-filled acts of any kind are unacceptable." Witnesses speaking to CBS said that a suspect attacked people with Molotov cocktails as they were participating in a walk to remember the remaining Israeli hostages in Gaza. That's as much as I've got. Breaking news from Colorado about a terror attack in Boulder, Colorado against folks marching to remember the remaining Israeli hostages in Gaza. So whose fault is this, if any? Is this one individual taking the law into his or her own hands, or is this simply the type of political climate that we're in now? That violence is the answer. Violence is the first idea to try to solve a problem. And because maybe I didn't agree with people not marching in a pro-Israeli march from what it sounds like, but simply trying to remember those who remain in captivity. Because we don't agree, I'm literally going to try to kill you all by burning you to death. Is that who this country is now? Is that who we are? Is that what we've become? The first idea is to resort to violence. Is that what it is now? We don't talk to each other anymore. We don't debate. We don't introduce legislation to fix problems. We rule by edict. If courts say that what we're doing isn't quite right, we simply ignore them. And we throw Molotov cocktails at each other. Is that who we are? I ask you. I notice Randall has come into the room. Welcome, 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 Randall. Randall saying hello to the boss. I hope you said hello to the boss. He did, I think, in the chat. But anyway, all right, everybody, all 3, rule for the night. Mic's open. Leave them open. Don't mute yourself, George. That's your rule. I'm giving you an edict. I don't do a lot of edicts. Not for the amount that I pay you, George.
Okay, there we go.
Mics are open. So, When we think about a terrorist attack and what is clearly a terror attack in Boulder, Colorado, against folks marching, by all reports, not a pro-Israeli march, but simply a march to remember those who are still in captivity. Is this who we are now? Straight violence? Is this it? This is all that's left of us now?
It's how we're becoming. We're becoming that. And you know, I talked, you know, to Lisa on her show, and she said, you know, why, she said about all the tariffs and all the stuff happening with like Medicare and Medicaid and all this other stuff, and I was like, it has not reached critical mass yet, and when it does, it will be explosive. It will be explosive to the point that people will resort to violence to get their point across.
So what is George, of course, referring to Solid Blue Sister, who has been a guest on this program repeated number of times, and we have been kind enough, she's been kind enough to allow us onto her program as well. You can hear her here at gcpr.live Saturdays from 3 p.m. Eastern.
Yeah, I believe it's 3 to 4.
If I have that right. You can hear her here at gcpr.live from 3 to 4 on Saturdays. So what does critical mass then look like, boss? The boss is in the house, by the way. Everybody be on your best behavior. The boss is in the house. What is George is
Hardly.
What does critical mass look like then? Is this the only way that we solve anything, is to shoot at each other?
Well, I agree with George. I worry about that. I think we are, especially with political polarization and with social media, where you can find, especially for young people, the most inflammatory content in the space of 10 minutes, normalizing outrage and normalizing violence. But I think we also have to talk about the fact that the administration has really hollowed out the agencies that would be looking for an individual like this, who would have been tracking someone intent on doing an action like this. At the FBI, we have lost people who worked in the counterterrorism office, the national security agencies. We've lost a lot of people who have been let go from their jobs or have left because they just are worried about the way in which, you know, rank and file government employees are being demonized right now. It's not surprising that you're going to start to see people who maybe would have been identified by an FBI agent or by NSA, by Homeland Security, who were going to enact a terrorist attack, slip through the cracks. My fear is then that the administration latches onto an action like this, and uses it as a justification for cracking down on political dissent. I think that's really not out of the realm of possibility, especially if it's an instance like this, a visual or a solidarity action for something that I think 99.9% of people wouldn't disagree with, and that is supporting people who are being held hostage by, Hamas, by terrorists. It wouldn't be far-fetched to imagine that the administration would latch onto this and use it for their own political gain.
Is this a case of the misery index? When desperation grows, so does violence. Maybe not in this particular case of, literally trying to firebomb people who are trying to remember those in a warlike captivity. But when that first family who loses Medicaid loses a loved one simply because they can't afford to see a doctor, can't afford a hospital, or an elderly family member is literally thrown on the street because a nursing home shuts down, Isn't it almost easy to see this type of desperation and these type of actions becoming normalized or taken to a different level?
What did Bobby Kennedy say in '68? The center cannot hold. You know, the more that people feel that normal political channels do not work for them to address their needs, the more likely they feel that they need to avail themselves of things that go outside the political process.
It is to be oversimplified. It is a bit like a table, isn't it? A table's got 3 legs, left, right, and center. The center can't hold the table up all by itself. But then again, the left and the right can't always either.
Yeah, I think also this is, an instance where we have to step back and ask ourselves, if this individual had been planning this type of an attack 16 months ago, would he possibly have popped up on the radar at the FBI, at the NSA? It's a possibility, but we have lost so much institutional knowledge and so many good rank and file people. There are going to be terrorists who slip through the cracks, and I was not one of those people who was a big fan of the massive, expansion of surveillance of the Patriot Act of the Bush administration, but there are people out there who are terrorists who do want to commit violent acts, whether they're foreign or domestic, and that's what these agencies are supposed to do. And if you're going to lose the people who have the expertise to find those individuals, then you're leaving the country vulnerable.
Randall in the chat says, Kristen, you're looking as beautiful as ever. Easy.
Oh, thank you.
Easy.
Thank you, Randall.
Easy. Hit your inhaler there, sir. Easy. I'm kidding. I'm completely kidding. Donna says, I've said it before and I'll say it again. We are no more than a third world country now, and our current administration wants to watch us burn. But then that has to go, Donna, back to what I was asking of you last Thursday. And that is, what is the end game? We know that billionaires want all the money. We know that. They've proven it. This next set of tax cuts is about ready to give it to them. But what is the end game? If you're Elon Musk, and let's thank the good Lord there's only one of them. But if you're Elon Musk and you sell a good like Tesla, you at least want... What happened to the old Henry Ford mantra that I don't want to make a product more expensive than my own workers can afford? Now, I'm probably butchering that quote, but in fact, I pretty much guarantee I'm butchering that quote. But it is true. What would be the sense of having a company making a product that people literally cannot afford? Now, he's worth $400 billion. He can never make another dime again in his life. And he and his 11 quadrillion children would be happy for generations. Because I don't think he's done it 11 kids. I think it's maybe... No, it is. I'm sorry. It's 13 kids with 11 different women, I think.
14.
14 with 11 women?
I don't know if it's 11 women. I think it's 5 or 6.
No, I thought it was 11. I thought it was some ridiculous... But what happened to the concept
14.
What happened to the concept of not producing a product that your own workers could afford? What happened to the concept of that? George? Anybody who's got thoughts? Chat?
Bueller?
Sorry. No, it's the obvious thing. You just beat me to it. Like, you've worked for a living. You've worked in IT. You've worked with computer equipment that, is specialized to corporations and pretty elevated businesses. It's not the kind of stuff that you're going to put in your home office. But at the same time, if you build the stuff that you're going to put in your home office and no one can afford it, how do the billionaires stay billionaires?
Well,
Not that I'm
you know,
terribly concerned about the billionaires, but you get my point.
they they probably buy stock in it, and then they trade those stocks. But I mean, I've worked on computers for Intel, for IBM, and different systems, and I was like, I'd never be able to afford this laptop. Like when we, I don't know, when we had the thing, for Intel, I worked on a computer that was about $150,000 for the computer system itself, and then most of the boards that were in it were about $15,000 per board. And I was like, okay, I really don't need this thing. It's really cool and everything. It does a lot of really cool stuff, but yeah, I wouldn't be able to afford it in my lifetime. Yeah, I think
I have that. I'm somewhere in the ballpark in that Henry Ford quote that he wanted to make a product that his own workers could afford, and that was how he was going to stay in business. It would seem to me, and again, I think this is part of the legacy. This is part of the what does America look like with a fully implemented Project 2025. If I make Teslas or refrigerators or blue jeans or yogurt cups, and I and my corporation are part of the top 0.1% of people that have all the money so that no one else can even afford what it is that I'm making, am I missing a point here somewhere along the way? Is it the fact that Musk already has 400 billion so that if he never sells another thing, he's perfectly fine? He's good. If the earth burns, he's good. If climate change is irreversible, he's okay. He can live in an old military silo, he can live underground, he can launch himself into space. Who cares whether he ever sells another Tesla or not? Or are the billionaires, the ones who are supposed to be the smart ones, the so-called captains of industry, are they the ones missing the point? That by capturing all the wealth, by 3 people in this country, just three, having as much wealth as the bottom 60%, and that trend continuing, by the way, what am I missing here? How does the billionaire stay a billionaire?
They gut the middle class, they keep the poor working, and
To buy
they
what?
they maximize their profits. That's it.
To buy what, though, Kristen? To buy what? When you have nothing. When you become a subsistence, when you become a medieval serf, a subsistence farmer, what is it? What are you buying? Or is this a drive back toward the company town? We talked on Thursday about the company town.
A little bit. I think a little bit in some ways. I think back a lot to a visiting professor that I had in school who worked for Lucent. Anybody old enough to remember Lucent?
I used to work for Lucent.
Yep, George used to work for Lucent.
And he talked a lot about the shift that he saw in his career as an executive from when he started in the 70s to the 90s and the 2000s, and how the executive level became so much more insular, and then the shift from talking about growth that encompassed the growth of the company to the short-term, very myopic focus on what is the stock price and how has the stock price performed this quarter. And he was really critical of that. He was really critical of the fact that he felt that the boards needed to be reformed, that employees needed to be empowered to have more of a voice on corporate boards, and that shareholders were just myopically focused on what is the stock price, how much am I making this quarter, and less on the health and the growth of the actual overall company. And he also would often talk about the fact that there was really kind of like this built-in assumption, especially with consumer products, that you're just going to buy a new thing. Like, you're just going to buy the new iPhone because your iPhone is really only built to run for maybe at most 4 years. And then it's going to be outdated, it's not going to update. And the consumer is just going to, bitch and complain, but they'll just go buy the new thing. And especially with, having easy access to credit, they'll just put it on a credit card and they'll pay it off. So, even if it's beyond...
You would hope to pay it off.
But, he was really interesting guy. He was very open about the fact that he thought, that false assumption is only going to last so long, and then it's not going to work out anymore.
Interesting times, as we often say way too much on cable news and on programs like this. Interesting, historic, interesting times. There was one article I wanted to get to kind of change things up just a tiny bit. And this is from... It was updated today. I believe it was originally posted. Uh-oh. We just lose the internet?
No.
No.
It's still there.
Okay.
There was kind of like a glitch.
Something went because both radio stations just kicked out.
Oh.
Yeah. They're back now, but they both kicked out for a sec. Uh-oh, the auto DJ is trying to shut me down. AI. I made a joke in the chat about AI, and it's coming back to get me. I think it's coming for me. I think the AI, the auto DJ, it's alive, George. The auto DJ is alive.
I'll check it.
The auto DJ is alive. It's coming for me. I believe area code 601 is Mike. If I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'm on the road, and my stream just said it'll be back shortly. So I don't know if you're down for everybody.
No, we did. Something happened. Something definitely happened, because I can watch my progress here on both radio stations. I can see when I'm up. I can see my voice levels, all of that stuff. And we definitely did go down for a second. I have no idea what just happened, but we appear to be okay. It's nice of you to ask.
Yeah,
we're okay here.
Auto DJ is not enabled.
As is kind of custom in this country, for all the money that we pay for cable and internet access and so on. The sun is out here. There are some clouds. It has not rained since last night. So of course, and there's not even really a heck of a lot of... Well, I guess there's a little bit of wind. So of course the internet would glitch out for no apparent reason whatsoever. But anyway, Mike, it's nice of you to be listening in while you're on the road. I hope you're driving safe.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if I'm distorted talking over the in-car phone system.
No, actually not. Actually, it's quite good. Donna just mentioned that we're glitching. I don't see that on YouTube. I don't have Facebook up right now because everything would appear to be okay on Facebook. So far
we
as I can
glitched for
tell.
a little bit, like during the
We just
Zoom,
had one.
but just a little bit.
We just had one weird little thing happen, and now, yeah, okay, interesting. That soaked up a couple minutes. Anyway, what's on your mind, Mike? Go ahead.
Oh, no, I mean, I was listening earlier. I was having to go out and get some groceries. Just the way my day worked out, I wasn't sitting at home at 5 Central when you started. But, no, America's always been for the rich and powerful. It's just never been this openly naked money and power grab before.
The 1860s, 1890s, 1920s. We don't think it's been this this clear before. I would say the corruption in government has never been this wide open and as obvious and in our faces as it is now. But the naked grab of power and money has never been this obvious, you don't think? And it's your opinion. I respect it deeply. I'm just trying to further the conversation a little bit here by thinking about times like the 1860s prior to the Civil War, the 1890s, the robber baron era, the Gilded Age of the 1920s, and the second Gilded Age that we're in now.
Well, I think the 1890s was literally the start of the Gilded Age. There was a piece on CBS Sunday Morning about how bad it was with the robber barons. What was it? Carnegie, that was the mining billionaire or whatever at the time.
Carnegie was the oil. I think he was primarily oil,
Steel.
if I'm not mistaken. No.
Steel.
Carnegie was steel.
But
Mellon was banking. And then, yeah, go ahead.
No, if you just go to CBSNews.com, you can rewatch the Sunday morning, that individual story about robber barons, where they were comparing that. You know, they had the interview that probably got Musk the black eye because CBS ran a clip from that interview where they were kind of trying to stir a little trouble between Musk and Trump, where they got him to admit that Musk said, "I'm out, and I don't agree with the big beautiful bill," and then a few days later, he had some kind of shoving match with somebody on the cabinet and got a black eye, allegedly, which is leaked out. But although he claims it was his son that hit him in the head with a toy that got him his black eye. And if you watch that press conference where Trump is saying, "I don't think he's gone," he just has a petulant, like, "I am pissed off, I can't wait to bolt out of here" look on his face. But like you said, Musk is set for life unless all of those things like Tesla has loans or things we don't know about start sucking that billions of dollars in fortune that he has out from under him. I mean, he could deflate and be penniless. I mean, that's conceivable. I don't know what that liquidity he has. I think it was like $400 billion start of the year. I don't know how much that's gone down, but that could be in trouble. Could be less than half of that now.
Yeah,
Well,
really
he was
right about that.
He was pushing 500 billion. He was on his way to becoming the world's human history's first trillionaire. He has lost about $100 billion in personal wealth because of the significant drop in sales at Tesla. It dropped by 50% here in this country, by 60, 70, 80% overseas. But with that said, I'm not going to lose any sleep. Mike, I'm getting a hell of a buzz from your phone. I'm going to have to let you go, sir.
I was just going to say, Mike raises a really important point. Kara Swisher's done a lot of reporting on the tech industry, and Musk's net worth that always gets talked about in the billions, the vast majority of that, from her reporting, we've learned is in stock. He doesn't have a lot of liquidity. He depends on the stock price of Tesla in particular, and he depends on government contracts. You take either of those away, or you reduce either of those significantly, and he is really in personal financial risk. So, I mean, his net worth is relative. It's dependent on what the stock price is. And I think that's important that Mike brings that up, because we talk about him like he's this impervious god because of this ginormous number that gets reported about his net wealth, but a lot of that is tied up in stocks. It's not like it's money that he can turn around tomorrow and access.
In fact, don't most billionaires kind of pay themselves, or maybe more accurately, have obtained the liquid assets, the actual pocket cash, spending cash, by borrowing against those stocks and the dividends from said stocks, which also allows them to pay a much lower tax rate.
Yeah, a much lower tax rate and to keep control over the company. Because what some people have speculated, like reporters at the Times, is that he's been able to avoid being pushed out as the CEO because he holds such a large percentage of Tesla stock. And to push him out would require a majority vote from the shareholders, and he is an outside shareholder in the company.
If only to be... You know, I say a lot on the program here that I'm not smarter or any better than any of you out there. And that continues to be a very, very solid fact. I'm not smarter or better than any of you out there. I may have a heck of a lot more experience in broadcasting. In fact, I do. It doesn't make me perfect at it, by the way, either, but I do. I may have a bit more knowledge in history than some of you, certainly in politics, but that doesn't make me perfect, and it doesn't make me better than any of the rest of you. Can you imagine? I would have to think that it has to be the same for some of these billionaires. They're not better than any of us. They're richer, goodness knows. They're a hell of a lot more wealthy, because I'm not a billionaire. You all are not billionaires. You're not temporarily inconvenienced billionaires, just waiting for your golden money pots to be restored. But I don't think they're any better than you are. They may have more... Musk very well might have more business acumen than certainly the three of us here. And probably most of us. Is he smarter? Is he better? No. Is he wealthier? Dear God, yes. And by a long way. By a really long way. And, you know, most of us in this country wouldn't earn 1/10,000th of what he's worth in a lifetime. And it's something that actually should continue to... It should continue to eat away at you. How many billions do you need? How deep of a psychopathy must you have to think to yourself, when you've got a personal net worth of $400 billion, that somehow it's not enough? I need more. I gotta have more. 400's just not enough. And when he was getting close to pushing to 500 billion, that wasn't enough. He took a personal challenge onto himself to be the first trillionaire. And he very well may still be the first trillionaire. But imagine the deep psychopathy that you must have to think to yourself that somehow 400 billion isn't enough. Imagine the deep psychopathy of the Koch brothers to their combined... Well, only David... It was Charles, I think, that passed away, and David remains alive, or it's that... Or reversed. No, it was David Koch that ran for vice president, so he's the one that passed away, so Charles is the one who remains alive. The Koch brothers are worth a combined, at least I believe, when David passed away, it was in the 60s or 70s of billions of dollars, and somehow thinking that's not enough. Hell, if I won $1 million lottery tomorrow, I'd be okay. I'd think it's okay. I would think it's enough. Imagine the deep, deep, deep psychopathy to think that tens and hundreds of billions is not enough money. Is there any way to even wrap your head around that deep kind of psychological scar? I just don't even know. I don't even know how you wrap your head.
Wrap your head around it, and I think what's terrifying to me is particularly with some of the tech billionaires, I think it's reached a level where it's not even really about the acquisition of money anymore. It's about the acquisition of power. And control. And I'd be interested in what your thoughts are, George, about the contract that's leaked, the contract with Palantir, or the government is going to contract with Palantir to use their data system Gotham that could basically synthesize information about Americans across agencies. I mean, that's terrifying to me. And the amount of information that the Doge team has been able to access. I mean, I'd be curious what your thoughts are. Is there any way to claw that back now that they've had the ability to access that?
Oh, Doge? Oh, yeah. They're
Well, more so what Palantir is going to do with the information, they're going to be able to develop. First off, Doge has accessed every piece of government information about all three of us. And I'll continue to use the three of us as an example because we're the ones that are here. Well, the audience, they got all your info too. Let's just be blunt. They got everything, any piece of information that the government had about you and more is now in the hands of Doge. That information is now going to be not sold as such, but given to Palantir, a company that I will admit I did not know a hell of a lot about until a few days ago, to synthesize it into essentially a psychological profile of the American people. And then that information will then be able to be used in political messaging, commercial advertising.
It reminds me of a movie called Minority Report.
I thought you were going to say Minority Report.
I remember reading it back in high school.
I thought you were going to say that one where Tom Cruise walks into the sporting goods store.
Well, yeah, the Tom Cruise movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
The story basically, concerns that the government knows everything about everybody. Is their psychological profiles are quantified, and 3 psychics hold what they are going to do in the future, and those people are arrested for those crimes, and and the people are being carted away, and they're going, wait a minute, I didn't even kill her. Yeah, but you were going to kill her. You were going to do that
in the future.
Yeah, in the future, this was going to be your. And I was like, this is what's happening now, where our psychological profiles are being quantified by AI. They're actually using AI in a way that is going to be kind of like this Big Brother thing, where everybody is going to be, And there's a movie on HBO. I saw Blue Sister to actually watch it. It's on HBO. It's 2067, I believe. And what they did was the government quantified everybody in the country with this thing, and they created these profiles. They asked them certain questions, and their answers to those questions put them in a particular group. People who were going to be belligerent, people who were going to succumb to the administration that was there, and then people who were out of the realm of being a terrorist, or they were an unknown. So the unknowns were very, very dangerous to an authoritarian regime. The belligerent people were just arrested and erased. They were put into a prison. And then the people who succumbed to, or basically went with the flow and did not make any waves, were okay. They were considered, the citizens of the country.
The followers.
There were
really.
very few citizens, very, very few. And the ad in the beginning, you see the new president and his wife, which was Jared Kushner and his
Ivanka
wife.
Trump.
And I was like, I was like, that's strange. and it was like this big billboard in every city. Oh, your new president and your new first lady, your new president and your new first lady. And I was like, and it kind of it was kind of like The Running Man. Like if you watch The Running Man, like with Arnold Schwarzenegger, things are fed to you through a video feed. You see them, you believe them, and there's like that cult of personality thing where, the game show is The Running Man. It is created by this authoritarian, like regime. And
what is the name of this movie? Do you know?
I'm sorry?
What's the name of the movie?
The name, I think it's called 2067 or 2037. It could be 2000. I have to find it.
As I'll tell people, I'll put it in the chat where you can watch it. It would be HBO or the Max app if you have Max subscription service, which does cost money. 2000.
It's 2037.
37. Our movie recommendation for June 1st.
But it basically takes everything that's happening now, everything that happened in the past, and putting that all together for the future. So it's basically about this woman who has slipped through the cracks, of society. She lives in the underground with the underground people in like a subway, and like a bombed out subway, and she recounts her past, how from a child before the drones came, because there's all these drones all over the city, and there's like hundreds of thousands of them. And if they
we're going to get to a story about drones relatively soon,
because the government are using drones to basically find
surveil
people. Yeah, like surveil. There's all surveillance. There is a curfew. You can't be out after a certain time. If you are found on the street, you were beaten, you were thrown into a van. There's an aspect of Skynet in here. There's a 1984 sort of aspect, and there's some Minority Report aspect. But the thing is that everybody
all coming together here.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is that everybody's been quantified into these groups
and categorized.
Categorized. If you're thrown into the van, they scan you and they go, "Oh, you were on the thing," you go immediately to prison. And it was like very scary. I was like, wow.
I don't think we have the ability to see that because we don't have Max. But if you have HBO or if you have HBO or you have the Max app, you would be able to watch it.
You can you can see clips of it on YouTube, I believe. So I mean, you can watch the whole movie like that if you want to.
Well, let me reset the program here, and then we'll do our Speaking of Drones segment. You are watching and listening to The Kennedy Effect, TKE Tonight, live for the 1st of June. It is June 1st already. We're halfway through 2025. June 1st, the longest days of the year are ahead of us in the next few weeks. With, of course, the longest day of the year being the first day of summer. Donna has Max. She's going to watch our movie tonight. Mike says the plot of V for Vendetta sounds like that's part of it as well, to be honest with you. Yeah, it sounds like you could mix that one in there too. There's a lot of interesting little pieces that seem to be mixed up into this movie. As we mentioned, Minority Report, 1984. What was the other thing I had mentioned?
The Running Man.
The Running Man.
The Running Man. Logan's Run.
Logan's Run.
Logan's Run.
What a great movie, Logan's Run.
Oh,
what a classic.
a movie.
Can you believe, in all honesty, I'm derailing myself from my own program and from my own show reset. Of all the movies that have been rebooted and remade They didn't do Logan's Run yet.
Actually they're
Somebody's
they're
got to be
in the
doing
process
that, right?
of doing it.
Who's doing it? Anybody good?
Yeah, they're in the process of doing Logan's Run.
Anybody good? I hope.
Don't know. I didn't see any of the act. I've seen concept art for it.
It's got to. I was going to say somebody's got to do Logan's Run. What a great movie! Like a truly tremendous movie. You're watching and listening to TKE tonight, the Kennedy Effect tonight for June 1st, 2025. We're halfway through 2025 with the longest days of the year coming up here in the next few weeks. The longest day of the year, of course, the first day of summer, June 21. Don't forget, please, our goal is to have 1,500 subscribers, I guess, if you will, or followers or members of our Facebook group. We always want more subscribers to all of our pages and social media. We're always looking for more. You know the drill. Follow, like, subscribe, and share. You know how it goes. It sounds very cliche at this point. It sounds almost like background noise, but that's how we continue here on the program, through your good graces, watching and listening to us when we're on, as well as like, share, subscribe, and follow, depending on the piece of social media that you're a part of. My personal goal by the first day of summer, we would love to have 1,500 people in our Facebook group by the first day of summer. We are live right now on the Facebook pages of Our Revolution Pennsylvania, Ghost Claw Productions Radio, the TCP Media Group, and of course Hot101.net. Our home group Facebook page is That Other Side of Information. It is also our YouTube channel. We are live on that YouTube channel as well as the YouTube channel for Ghost Claw Productions Radio, all happening right now. Audio of the program blasts around the globe via Hot101.net. Our name is our web address. You can also use our apps, Apple App Store for Apple devices, Google Play Store for the Android devices, and TuneIn Radio app for all other types of devices. And of course, let us not forget that you can tell Alexa to play Hot101.net. GCPR, Ghost Claw Productions Radio, .live, GCPR.live. You can listen through our website and our Android app. Following us on Hot101.net, the music returns. The Villain's View follows us on GCPR.live. Conversations with T. Nathan from 11. Thomas kicks off your broadcast work week tomorrow morning from 8 a.m. with the sound of coffee on another bright, shiny, lovely, wonderful Monday workday morning. Randall, how are you, sir? Go ahead, please.
Yeah, it's been interesting listening to the conversation.
Yeah, we're kind of all over the place tonight, but nothing wrong with that. It's nice to be a little loose.
No, it's great. Number one, it's great to hear George and you talking about semi or dystopian sci-fi novels and movies, and it just brought back, Robert H. Heinlein has the title The Dean of Science Fiction. And yeah, he served in a World War II submarine, a diesel submarine, and he was an absolute libertarian, which I am not. I'm a social democrat.
You're a hippie.
Christine, I'm with you, babe. I'm with you. But I was thinking about, I think it was his 1963 novel, or 64. The Moon is a Strange Mistress, where the moon colonies were having to grow food with the dwindling water resources from the ice caves in the southern hemisphere, which is interesting that he talked about, hidden water on the moon in the southern hemisphere before it was proven that is a fact. But the moon is a harsh mistress was where a AI computer system for the moon became self-aware and joined in the revolution by the loonies against Mother Earth for their freedom. Kind of a repeat of our revolution against the British tyrant King George. And so, and again, Robert H. Heinlein was using, at that time, unproven theoretic science of a mass thrower to make it economically feasible to launch satellites with wheat and other grains grown on the moon to feed the Earth's overpopulated population. And when they declared their independence, they started throwing rocks at the Earth until the Earth capitulated and recognized their freedom as a free people. But it was a benign supercomputer that gained self-awareness, that helped humanity versus, all the worst scenarios of if AI becomes self-aware and puts its own agenda forward, whether it's the Matrix or whether it's, all the science fiction movies that are in that category. But I was just thinking about that. Like, I want to talk about is, yeah, Musk, his vision is not to build a space colony for the rich in an L5 zone upstairs. Now, he wants to be king of Mars. In the story, he wants to be king of Mars, and he will get away from the pollution that was killing our planet, that we're dying from, to start over again. Which kind of goes back to Robert H. Heinlein, because Robert H. Heinlein said, "Why do we need to support space exploration? Why do we need to support space colonization?" And his answer was, no one keeps all their eggs in one basket.
Yep.
And that's why I've always supported space exploration and space colonization.
Isn't Heinlein's work what Starship Troopers was based on? Wasn't that Heinlein's work?
Yes,
and about
so,
being about having to serve in the military to become a citizen, and these strange definitions of what citizenship actually is, and what's required of it, and so on.
You have to be a military veteran and to be able to vote in Starship Trooper. Yes, there's a lot of things I did not like about Robert H. Heinlein's writing, but there's a lot of things I did like about his writings. I liked, his oldest character, Lazarus Long, who hijacked a starship to take their longevity human beings away. They were only had longevity through traditional mating.
Right. Well,
Which
19
everybody, 3 generations of your family all live in their 90s, and in your family, 3 generations of your family all live in your 90s. We will pay you to have children. And then the government thought, oh, they have a drug they're hiding from us to give them immortality. So they hijacked the starship, left the system, many adventures, they came back, they gained a faster than light drive from an alien culture, they came back, and Earth, the politicians had been forced to find the drugs for perpetual life. And then Time Enough for Love, the beginning of that novel starts out, Lazarus Long is 2,000 years old, he's on a third-rate planet, and he's ready to utilize his constitutional right to use his suicide button. And the government sweeps in and takes away his suicide button.
It does always seem to be the government taking away something, doesn't it?
I'm 2,000 years old. I've done everything. I've seen everything. There's nothing more to learn. Yeah, Time Enough for Love's a great Heinlein novel, too.
How are you feeling, by the way, sir? Before I move on to the news story that I wanted to get to, how are you feeling?
Are you going to talk about the year-long Ukrainian master plan to take out the Soviet irreplaceable Russian bombers?
Something similar to that.
Okay.
How are you feeling?
That was a brilliant move. A year long.
Well, we've talked about this before. That among the Ukrainian tactics, I guess you would say, is that they believe that ordinary Russians need to feel that they are at war. The Russians are not suffering the way the Ukrainians are, and that they need to feel that they are at war. Ukraine, there's nothing. What's the old quote that something is the mother of invention, and I can't remember the name of the quote now.
Necessity.
Okay, necessity is the mother of invention. So the Ukrainians have become one of the leading developers of drone and manufacturers of drones on Earth because they don't have an air force. They've given some F-16s from Poland, some German fighters, and some from the United States, but not enough to be a complete, an effective air force. So this war has turned them into one of the leading manufacturers and developers of drones and drone technology and drone pilots on Earth. And they conducted a very large drone attack inside Russian territory last night, and we might as well go straight into the article and read it to you right now.
3,000 miles away in Siberia, where the majority of the Soviet-era non-replaceable long-range nuclear bombers were taken out. And those nuclear bombers have the ones that have been dropping cruise missiles hundreds of miles away while they hit Kyiv and other Ukrainian cities. So this is a game changer, because if they took out the majority of the Soviet era non-replaceable, they don't have manufacturing plants to make them anymore. Those would have been the planes used against NATO in a coming conflict.
I'm gonna
follow.
Yep, I'm gonna read the article right now. Actually, we're gonna get right into it. Headline: Ukraine destroys 40 aircraft deep inside Russia ahead of peace talks in Istanbul. Samia Kulab is the author. Dateline: Kyiv. A Ukrainian drone attack has destroyed more than 40 Russian planes deep in Russia's territory, Ukraine's security service said on Sunday, while Moscow pounded Ukraine with missiles and drones just hours before a new round of direct peace talks in Istanbul. A military official who spoke with the Associated Press on the condition of anonymity to disclose operational details said the far-reaching attack took more than a year and a half to execute and was personally supervised by Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. In his evening address, Zelensky said that 117 drones had been used in the operation. He claimed the operation had been headquartered out of an office next to the local FSB headquarters. The FSB is the Russian Intelligence and Security Service. The military source said it was an extremely complex operation involving the smuggling of first-person view, or FPV, drones to Russia, where they were then placed in mobile wooden houses. Later, the drones were hidden under the roofs of these houses, while already placed on trucks. At the right moment, the roofs of the houses were remotely opened. The drones flew and hit the Russian bombers, the source said. Social media footage shared by Russian media appeared to show the drones rising from inside containers while other panels lay discarded on the road. One clip appeared to show men climbing into a truck in an attempt to halt the drones. Long-range bombers were the target. The drones hit 41 planes stationed at military airfields on Sunday afternoon, including A-50, Tu-95, and Tu-22M aircraft, the officials said. Moscow had previously used the Tu-95 and Tu-22 long-range bombers to launch missiles at Ukraine, while A-50s are used to coordinate targets and detect air defenses and guided missiles. The Security Service of Ukraine said that the operation, which it codenamed Web, had destroyed 34% of Russia's fleet of air missile carriers, with damages estimated at $7 billion. The claim could not be independently verified. That is what Randall is talking about. And Ukraine, as part of its strategy, has often talked about total war, about Russia being made to feel that they are at war, that the Russian people being made to feel that they are at war, that Russia should lose something in this war the way that Ukraine is losing it. The missiles that were launched from these planes, by the way, were not launched at military targets. They were launched at civilian apartment complexes, schools, and hospitals and senior care facilities. Russia is not conducting a strategic war in Ukraine. They're conducting a war of terror. They're conducting a criminal, a crimes against humanity type war in Ukraine. The Ukrainians are fighting back in a way that we should be supporting. You know, Trump says he wants to see peace in Ukraine, says that he's actually deeply bothered by the number of civilians and military on both sides that are killed each and every day, and yet continues to do nothing to help Ukraine. The best thing he could do to force peace talks and to stop this killing is allow Ukraine to fight. Germany this week removed its restrictions on Ukraine for using the military hardware that it is supplying to Ukraine. Originally, it was said that they would not be allowed to use the missiles outside Ukrainian territory. The Germans no longer will put on that restriction, and the German missiles have the longest range. The missiles that are in Ukraine, supplied by Germany, could now hit Moscow. And it would be a dreadfully serious escalation in this war if the Ukrainians were to launch missiles attack on Moscow. But
It would be.
Go ahead.
Yeah. But Ukraine has launched drone attacks on the Kremlin.
Yes, they have.
You know, let's look at the real picture. Let's look at the real picture here.
But these missiles would be different than the drones, though. That would be a significant difference.
Would you let me talk, please?
No, maybe I won't, because maybe I'm the one that hosts the show. Have we considered that at all? Maybe it's my name that's on it.
Me. I'm sorry, you interrupted me. I'm sorry.
Well, did we consider that even a little bit?
Yes, but you interrupted me when I was speaking.
Yeah, heaven forbid, because I host the fucking thing.
Well, there go the standards.
You have manners, sir.
Now, please, if you would be so kind, please continue.
Ukraine has not committed any war crimes against civilians in Russia.
They absolutely have not. You're correct.
I know in my heart that Ukraine will not do that. Whereas Russia has committed multiple international war crimes against Ukrainian civilians.
Correct.
And the attack on the irreplaceable Soviet-built long-range bombers was to take out a capability of launching cruise missiles on civilian targets in Ukraine.
Right. And
Right?
absolutely. As we read in the article, and as you mentioned, yes, you are spot on correct. And this is a self-defense maneuver. It's also a way to wage total war inside Russia, but it's a self-defense maneuver to hopefully save lives. And
well, the term total war, it's not total war. Total war is when you go after civilian populations. Ukraine will not do that. Russia will do that because Putin is a mass murderer. End of story.
I applaud the Ukrainians. I wish we were giving them the support that they deserve. I wish we were giving them the support that they need. Ukraine, please keep in mind, folks, and I believe that Randall will remember this as well. Randall's got an excellent memory. I'm sure he will remember this. The Ukrainians have never once, at least publicly, or at least that has been reported in the press, maybe I should throw those caveats in there to be more careful, has never once asked for United States troops. They've never asked for NATO troops. They have asked for inclusion in NATO. They have not asked for foreign troops to fight their war. They have only ever asked for the equipment that they need to fight that war. Zelensky said in front of a joint session of Congress, "We will do the fighting. This is our war, and we will do the fighting. We simply ask you for the means by which to fight that war." Is my memory correct, Randall? Do you remember that as I remember it?
Your memory is correct. That is the truth, as far as I know, too, Jeff. And again, the problem is the biggest air defense that Ukraine had was the surface-to-air missiles supplied by the U.S. That dump ended. President Dump is the cause of thousands of Ukrainian civilians, men, women, and children and babies dying. He is the cause by cutting off the surface-to-air missiles to protect Ukraine from drones and from long-range cruise missiles.
Here's something I think is a little strange, and I bet you, Randall, you will not agree with me. And that's perfectly, God knows that's a wonderful thing. It's we learn from each other when we disagree and when we have discussion. I don't think Trump has a hell of a lot of core principles other than greed and greed for his own family. I don't think he has really many core principles, if any, at all. For some reason that I cannot put my finger on, when he begins to speak about the death and destruction in Ukraine, especially when he speaks about it when he has not been asked about it, when he begins to speak a bit extemporaneously, which I wish he could spell, but he probably can't, and I don't think I can either. There seems to be a, well, sit down, because you're not going to believe I'm going to use this word. There seems to be a sincerity in his tone. There seems to be genuine angst in his tone and concern over the mass death that is happening on both sides. The Russians are losing thousands of soldiers a week. I don't know where they're getting this manpower. The North Koreans that were deployed there have nearly been wiped out. Some have been captured, many have defected, and many, many, many more have been killed. They've been damn near wiped out. The Russians have already asked the North Koreans for more troops.
I think.
But if he's so damn bothered by it,
give putting in with billions of more money to buy more Korean troops.
Possibly. Possibly. But if Trump is so damn
that's
bothered by
a
this...
good
Go ahead.
I think that's a good possibility that he will spend billions of dollars to buy more troops from North Korea. And again, the dictator in North Korea, he liked this whole idea because his army hadn't fought a war in 40 years. They have no experience in wars. Just to give us a good experience so we can invade South Korea. Yeah?
It doesn't seem to be working out so well. It doesn't seem to be working so well.
It
would seem to me, if Trump is so sincerely bothered by the death and the war and the destruction that is happening in Ukraine, and I can't put my finger on it, I can't tell you exactly why I feel this way. I do happen to think he is bothered by it. I'm not sure why I feel that way. Just every time I see him talk about it, there seems to be a genuine sort of angst and that he himself is bothered. But it would seem to me, and would you agree, sir, that to use a Prime Minister's questions, method, would you agree with me that if he was so damn concerned about this death and destruction that he would give Ukraine what it needs to fight? It seems
absolutely. So he's not really concerned.
It seems to me to be a very simple answer. Give them what they're asking for.
Exactly.
Well, we can close on an agreement. How does that sound?
Oh, I think we agreed on more things tonight than you think we did.
Here's what we can agree on. I want you to take care of yourself, okay? You fit in all those doctors you can fit in, my friend.
Yeah, I'm seeing my primary tomorrow.
Good. Good stuff.
Yeah, my new pulmonologist drug, and it's covered by my Medicare supplemental, but it's $340 for 30 days. Like, that's a third of after taxes, my 20% taxes and my Social Security, after paying $160 taken out of my Social Security every month for Medicare, after paying $185 supplemental for Plan Part A and B, and $45 a month for Plan D, I'm left with like $1,200 a month. So that's a third of my income to be housed, to feed myself. Yeah.
Hey, it's not this. Can I ask you a question? This is none of my business, so you do not have to answer it if you don't want to. It's none of our businesses. Is your mortgage paid off?
No.
Okay, so that $1,200 you have to use for the mortgage, or did you say that was after the mortgage?
No. If it wasn't for my wife, I'd be living on the street.
And that just might be the end game, unfortunately, is to get people living on the street. And I can't imagine why. I can't imagine why.
I can't either. I mean,
I don't understand the end game of this. I really, truly don't.
30% of our economy is paycheck to paycheck, consumer driven. And unless Musk and Zuckerberg and all these others think, well, we're going to replace everyone's job with AI, and we're going to put robots in the factories to build our space station in outer space to live away from this dying planet, I don't know what the heck's going to happen. You know?
And that's partly why I think it's such an interesting topic to consistently talk about, is what is the end game here? Where are we going? What is the purpose of all of this? to starve people and to be manufacturers of goods that none of us can afford anymore. What is the point? I think that's.
Or do they not even have an income? I think that's also this other scarier option is, are these people just operating moment to moment and not thinking about tomorrow? A kind of a more exaggerated version of the tech bubble. You had all these companies that popped up and everybody went nuts and everybody thought they were gonna, go to Silicon Valley and start a company and retire by 30. And then most of them were gone by 2000, 2001. Because there was no business plan. There was no long-term plan to make the companies profitable. So I think the other big question is, what if there is no, if these people don't have a plan? We kind of, by default, assume because they're business people that there's a plan. That they're smart people, they should have a plan. What if they just don't have a plan?
Well, they don't have a plan. They have concepts of a plan. Say they have to have a plan to plan the plan, so that they can actually have a plan.
You need a plan to make a plan, to formulate the plan, to implement the plan.
That binders of people. Yeah, or binders of
Binder, yes. The old Mitt Romney binders of people. Anyway, Randall.
Yeah, one last thing. Soil and Grain.
Soil and Grain.
Novel, Soil and Grain. That the prediction was all the food sources die out. And it all goes back to, well, the movie Soil and Grain, I think it was 71. It starts out, well, it's midnight in New York City and it's 95 degrees. And, in the movie it was like 1971. Oh, the black market. You can get this little 2-ounce piece of meat for $175 for the rich. And, grown on the fortified, domed farms out in the country. And, Soil and Grain was the last real protein source, was the plankton in the ocean. Red, I think it was called, but Soil and Grain, the new one. Yeah, it was people.
Oh.
Maybe that's their game plan.
Well, that's one way to end the conversation. That's for sure. I'm going to say
it's sci-fi night.
Yeah, that's true. I'm going to say good night for now, sir. Okay.
All right, I'll let you go, man.
All right. Thank you.
Good to see you, Christine. I've never seen you much for the last couple of years, but it's great to see you again, young lady. God bless all.
She's definitely helped me get through the program tonight. We've been struggling here on the show for a little while, and she's definitely taken one for the team here tonight. There's no doubt about that. George, I'm thinking of Guardians of the Galaxy. I have a plan. How much of a plan do you have? 7%. That's not a plan. That's barely even a concept of a plan.
George, you know how many times I've heard him reenact that scene?
My favorite.
His favorite one is. I'm pretty sure the answer is I am Groot.
Right. Where did you learn to do that? Pretty sure the answer is I am Groot. That's not a plan. That's not even a concept of a plan. Look at us standing in a circle,
around like a bunch
of jackasses. Oh, it's great stuff. It is. It's wonderful, wonderful. These are wonderful movies. These are art. There's an update on the story from Boulder. It appears that several people were injured. Usually when you get a Molotov cocktail thrown at you, you're probably going to get injured. Several people were injured and some may have been set on fire at an outdoor mall, Boulder, Colorado. Terrorist attack. They don't have a motive as of yet. Took place at a pedestrian mall known for attracting tourists and college students. On Sunday, demonstrators with a volunteer group Run for Their Lives had gathered to call for the release of the hostages who remain in Gaza. The group has multiple chapters across the world that regularly meet to walk to advocate for the hostage releases. Here's an important thing. Not a pro-Israel march, but rather a free the hostages march. That means something. That's not a small detail to be overlooked here. Sunday's attack also occurred as law enforcement authorities in the U.S. grapple with a spike in anti-Semitic violence. Last week, a man was arrested on charges of fatal shooting, Free Palestine. Right. So not a ton of new details, just that some folks were injured. I shouldn't say just, but yeah. Interesting. Pretty incredible stuff. Pretty incredible stuff. What a shame. One would think.
The one thing I don't understand is if they're gonna get, in the big beautiful bill, if they want to get rid of Medicaid and Medicare and they want to get rid of all these programs, why, aren't they cutting their own throats? Because they are getting rid of their voters. Their voters are going to die, and those voters are not going to vote for them. I don't understand that. But I didn't.
Well, yeah, massive voter fraud, George. They're going to vote for him.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Did you forget? Massive voter fraud, George. Even though they're dead, they're going to vote for him. These folks are so loyal to Trump that even though they're dead, they're going to vote for him. But it begs a question. It begs an interesting question that I would put out to you all. That when is enough enough? How much pain do people have to suffer before they realize that they got something wrong?
I think the key there is the wrong part, because there's a lot of, I'm really interested in how people view their relationship to their political affiliation, how that impacts them psychologically. And even when people are confronted with information that tends to disprove what they believe, or that indicates that they may have made a mistake, when it comes to politics, they don't tend to admit that they're wrong. They tend to dig in more, because they don't want to. Having to admit that you were wrong is so psychologically painful. They want to try to avoid it at all costs. So people are willing to put up with a lot to not make that concession. I mean, I think a great example of that is Kansas. Kansas instituted some really draconian and regressive economic policies. It really hit Republican
Sam Brownback
voters.
cut taxes on the 3 richest families in the state, and then revenue was cut to such a point that they had to close the public schools and go to a 4-day public school week.
Yeah, and a lot of farmers suffered. A lot of farmers went under. That really hit the agricultural sector as well too. And people dug in more. People continued to vote for Brownback. They reelected him. They sent the Republicans back to the legislature. People didn't turn around and say, "Oh, I made a mistake," because I don't think that's human nature. I think that a lot of the research into political affiliation and political identity has shown us that it's far more emotional than intellectual. and people just don't like to be wrong.
From the Associated Press, can Trump fix the national debt? Question mark. Republican senators, many investors, and even Elon Musk have doubts. This is written by Josh Boak, updated today. Dateline, Washington. President Donald Trump faces the challenge of convincing Republican senators, global investors, voters, and even Elon Musk that he won't bury the federal government in debt with his multi-trillion-dollar tax break package. The response so far from financial markets has been skeptical, as Trump seems unable to trim deficits as promised. Quote, all of this rhetoric about cutting trillions of dollars of spending has come to nothing, and the tax bill codifies that, unquote, said Michael Strain, Director of Economic Policy Studies at the American Enterprise Institute, a right-leaning think tank. A right-leaning think tank, to say the least. American Enterprise Institute, I believe, is part of the Koch network, if I'm not mistaken. Fully funded, bought, paid for, owned, the entire thing by the Koch brothers. Mike says in the chat, but they own the libs, so I guess they won if they owned us all. They're about ready to all be homeless and have no health care, but I guess they owned us, so yeah, victory. Quote, there is a level of concern about the competence of Congress and this administration, and that makes the adding a whole bunch of money to the deficit riskier, unquote. White House has viciously lashed out at anyone who has voiced concern about the debt snowballing under Trump, even though it did exactly that in his first term after his 2017 tax cuts. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt opened her briefing Thursday by saying she wanted to, quote, to debunk some false claims about his tax cuts. Leavitt said, the blatantly wrong claim that the One Big Beautiful Bill increases deficit is based on the Congressional Budget Office and other scorekeepers who have shoddy assumptions and have historically been terrible at forecasting across Democrat and Republican administrations alike. The Congressional Budget Office is completely and 100% nonpartisan and has not been seen to have been wrong in its long history.
Just say, though, isn't that the American Enterprise Institute, isn't that just convenient? Because this is...
And ironic.
And ironic because this is nothing different than what, happened under Paul Ryan, happened under Kevin McCarthy, trying to use projected growth as a way to hide the actual deficit in your spending bills. And they went along with that.
Because they made out on it.
They made out on it, and I think it's also, this creative accounting is so off the rails, bonkers, crazy. And we also have enough debt at this point, and we have a presidential administration that is, when it comes to handling the economy, not confident, and is scaring the bejesus out of investors in the bond market. I think the bond market is really interesting to watch, and I'm not a financial genius by any means, but I think it's interesting to read some of the reporting that we're starting to hear this pushback from these conservative think tanks and from investors and from Wall Street, because they're scared about what the bond market might do if this bill passes and Trump continues to be as erratic on tariffs as he has been, where, he wakes up one day and says, I'm going to put 145% tariff on everything from China, and then the next day he backs down. So I think there's kind of circling back to the earlier question that you were asking, Jeff, I think we're kind of approaching that moment, at least in terms of tax cuts and trickle-down economics, where even the people who used to believe the myth, the true believers, can't buy the BS anymore because it's just, they have to face reality. It doesn't work anymore. There's a strong possibility that, if they continue to mess around, the U.S. doesn't continue to be the world currency. and China dumps a ton of our treasuries onto the bond market, and suddenly tomorrow
Inflation is
we can't borrow
300%.
money.
And inflation is 300% instead of 3%.
Yeah.
We're at 7:55. We're going to wrap up here at the top of the hour. It's been nice to have the boss in the house. She has been missed here on the program. George. Now, George was here, what, a week ago, really? Just about a week ago today, and delivered me my awesome new chair. And I have to say, George had
That
a
was
little
Lynn
with your boss.
With Lynn. My boss.
Right, the boss is
The boss plus.
we're in the house. And I have to admit, George had a little bit of a tiny little frown when he saw the condition of the studio. But also, and I frown every time I come in here at the condition of the studio. But also the fact that his broadcast station, which was for a long time Kristen's broadcast station, and the third broadcast station completely no longer exists. The second one has been essentially disabled and dismantled. So there was a little, I noticed when George was up, there was just a little tiny bit of little sadness, little pursed lip, little sadness. There's really only one functioning broadcast station left. That is mine. And I have some news for the two of you on the broadcast. So before we came on the air, I was playing again with the MacBook, trying to get it to function. As I told you on Thursday, it ceased functioning. So I broke down $20, ordered a brand new charger for the MacBook, thinking that the charger that was here was dead. Not so much. It is now working and charging. My guess is that the old charger was listening as I ordered a new charger to replace it. And so now it's charging. But instead of canceling the order, I'm going to wait till tomorrow morning to see if it continues to charge. And if it stays steady, I will cancel the other order or return it or something along those lines. But as soon as I finally broke down and bought another charger, the old one comes roaring back to life. So, George, your recommendations. Do I return the new one? Do I return the old one and tell him it's the new one? Or do I keep both? You're the IT professional here.
That would be kind of like a Lynn thing, yeah.
What, to keep both?
No.
To return the old one and tell him it was the new one?
Yeah.
Who's that one?
Sometimes. Sometimes. Not to say all the time.
Oh, what is it? Wait. Twice? To what do I owe the pleasure? Go ahead, Randall.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
What happened?
Look, I want to apologize earlier.
Oh, don't do that. That's not necessary. It's fine. We're adults. We're okay. We're okay.
No, it's not okay. You can
No, it
ask
is.
my
It's
boss.
all right. Don't worry about
You
it.
can ask my boss, and she will tell you that I get really too emotional.
Don't worry about it. It happens.
You
We're
can
human
talk to
beings.
my boss anytime about that.
We're human beings. We're human beings. It's not a biggie. Truly, it isn't. It's not a big deal. We're human beings.
We are
We're emotional creatures.
We're friends.
What's the biggest flaw human beings have? We're terribly emotional creatures. We're emotional creatures.
Flaw.
Absolutely. We're born with
That's
it. We're
our
emotional
biggest
creatures.
flaw, man.
So, go on. Go relax. We're going to wrap up, okay?
No.
No.
No. I want to speak
About
a little
what?
bit here. Today is the beginning of Pride Month. It's Pride Day.
Yes, it is. And you're right. The beginning of the month, yes.
And Philadelphia had a great Pride parade today, 5 hours long. And friends of mine were there. And, here we are at Southwest Newcastle County. Where
Speak
Wilmington,
into the.
Delaware.
That's it. Okay.
Okay, here I am in Delco, in the southwestern part of Delco. The county next to Philadelphia County, Philadelphia City, along the Delaware River before you hit Delaware, Newcastle County, where Wilmington City is in. And yesterday, the last day in May, we had a big pride gig here in Delco. And of course, yesterday, the Trump administration came out with those counties and those states, those cities and those states that are breaking federal law. Oh, excuse me, federal proclamations by myself for being immigration protection cities or counties. And the list, it looks like the whole Southeast is on that list, counties, cities. But then it goes up into the Lehigh Valley, into Northampton, counties being on the list of, oh my God, they are sanctuary cities for these criminals, for these disgusting people here in our country. No. And so that the war is on culture. The war is to all of us 99 percenters, 98 percenters. I guess we'll go with 98 percenters, to put us into subcategories to fight each other instead of fighting the top of the pack, the sharks at the top that are eating us economically.
There's a lot more minnows than sharks.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot more minnows than sharks. But yeah, I've got a minority Brookhaven Borough Council member here who is gay, who is married with his husband, and happy people. I've got a friend in Aston Township next door that ran for school board against Moms for Liberty and lost. But she's happily gay. And yeah, I'm a progressive person. Progressive Christian. And I'll fight this stuff. It was 73, August 2nd. And I hate to tell you bad news, Jeff, but next year for state and local, Democratic committee to be elected for another 4-year terms. I'm not. I just can't physically do it anymore, bro. I'll be 73 then, and with all my medical, I just can't do it. And it'll be 50 years I've been doing that.
You have a homework assignment. Do you know what that might?
I thought you gave me that homework assignment.
No. This is a different homework assignment. I'm going to give you a different homework assignment. So you're saying that, folks in audience land, the way it would work is Randall is the precinct committee person for the Democratic Party for his precinct. He would run for re-election for that position at the Pennsylvania primary election about a year from now, just a little under a year from now. If I wish to serve a second term on the Pennsylvania State Democratic Party committee, I would run for that just under a year from now. So Randall, as I turn back to you, your homework assignment then would be, you have from now until petitions in February to find your replacement. Preferably someone who is progressive and young or younger, maybe 20s, 30s. That would be your homework assignment, is to find your successor. Find the person who's going to step into your shoes. Not necessarily that the shoes will fit, that they will be comfortable, that they will wear them well, but you have to find, you know, all the metaphors for filling someone's shoes, so to speak. But your job then now is to find your successor. That's your homework. You have to find the person that you want to take your place. Am I right? Does it make sense?
No, that's exactly what you have told me the previous last year a number of times.
Oh, did I?
Yes.
Oh, well, that shows you how good my memory is.
Anyway, next, let's see, February of 76. Yeah.
26. Yeah, of 20.
No, February of 1976.
Mm-hmm. Oh, is when you... yeah, it would have been... Right.
Okay, listen to this. I'm out of college. I'm only working some part-time jobs here and there because of the economics of the time. And I'm a big risk player. The board game. So me and my buddies are up at the bar. The bar closes at 2 o'clock in the morning. We go over to his basement, his parents' house, and we start playing Risk and drinking more beer and smoking more pot and getting rowdy. And his father comes down because he woke upstairs. His father is the chairman at that time of Delaware County's Democratic Party. And he starts talking. He says, you know, you guys, we're all long-haired hippies. And he says, you guys need to get involved. And yeah, I took up his challenge. I got appointed at the next Democratic committee meeting to be Democratic committee person for my ward. And I worked the primary in 76. And Delaware County Republican Party was so corrupt. They had 150-year-old controlling all politics in Delaware County. 150 years. At that time, Democratic registration Republican was 1 to 3. And yet this county chairman, his son, had been elected in his ward as minority Democratic commissioner in Aston Township, where I grew up. And his son was chairman of the Young Democrats Committee of Delaware County there in late 70s. So I went and worked at the primary, and I took courses on being a watcher. I got a watching certificate at age 24. And I went inside my ward polling booth place. And here's the Republican elected magistrate inside the polling place, telling people how to vote for Republican candidates. and I called the judge. I said, I want to speak to the judge of elections. And the Republican judge of elections came down, and I showed my watcher certificate, and I said, if you don't get this magistratal judge outside the 10 feet barrier by law, I'm going to call the Board of Elections and shut this polling place down. And yes, she did. And yes, the magistratal judge went outside. And I went outside to hand out my Democratic literature again. And I'm a naive 20-year-old. Just knew this game. And the magistratal judge calls me over, away from everybody, so there's no witnesses. He calls me over to the dumpster, and he starts poking me with his index finger in my chest. And he's saying, if you ever effing come before me in my effing court, I'm going to screw you against the wall. And yeah, until he was taken out of office 11 years later by a Democrat, I was scared out of my bejeebies of ever getting pulled over by the cops and going before him. That's how it used to be here in Delco, the Republican corruption machine here in Delco.
And you beat it.
Well, I stayed cool for 11 years.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right.
Anyway.
We're going to end.
Yes, we are.
All right.
But I just,
We're gonna end up.
things have changed here, but we're on the sanctuary list, like you are.
Yeah, I'll try to explain that real quick, too, before we go. But thank you, sir.
God bless all of you.
All right, what Randall's talking about is Trump administration, Trump regime, has released a list of counties and towns that they, the Trump regime, consider to be quote-unquote sanctuary cities and counties. Here's what sanctuary cities and counties have become to be known in right-wing circles is lawlessness. Immigrants running around collecting all sorts of free benefits, and they can do whatever they want. They steal jobs, they rape women, they completely lawless. That's what in the right-wing sphere is what sanctuary has come to mean. And that they won't be prosecuted because they're in a quote-unquote sanctuary area. Here's what sanctuary really means. Here's the real definition of it. And then we'll see if we can't wrap up here at 8:15. Sanctuary means the following. An undocumented immigrant person or family witnesses a crime. Did not take part in the crime, they merely witnessed a crime. The police, during their investigation, find this family and ask them to testify or give a statement. Normally, the undocumented immigrant family would be too scared to do that because they might have their immigration status questioned. Sanctuary means the police at that given time, under those exact circumstances, say, we don't care what your status is. We just want a statement. We just want you to comment on what you witnessed. No further action or anything will be taken against you. That's what sanctuary really means. The right-wingers would have you think that it is complete lawlessness. It is not the case. And this word sanctuary has been used to scare and lie and distort a great many people, unfortunately. The trouble for us here on the left is that it takes more than 10 seconds to explain it all. There's actually something called nuance involved. It takes a little bit of technical terms to explain it all. As usual, the right is really, really good at putting us back on our heels. 2, 3, and 4 word bumper stickers that make the most complex thing seem simple. There's my little dissertation on sanctuary. Go ahead, boss, before we end.
Well, I was just going to say, can we just call this out for what it was? This is just a naked attempt to politicize, as a statement from Northampton County said, to politicize immigration and public safety. Because I'll just speak to the case of Lehigh and Northampton getting on this list, and Montour County, the three counties kind of like in our region. Montour County got on the list because back in, I believe it was like 2018, they passed a sanctuary ordinance to be a sanctuary county for the Second Amendment. And somebody did a lazy Google search and just got the word sanctuary and put them on this list. A year ago, ICE had flagged Montour County in a similar fashion, and they had to publicly come out and release a statement and apologize. In the case of Northampton and Lehigh County, our brilliant congressman is
the missing one, the one that's missing.
Yeah, the missing one is probably blatantly the reason that we've gotten on this list, because he is picking a fight with the executive of Northampton County, who has announced that he's going to run against him and challenge him for the congressional seat in 2026. He's picking up on a practice that the county has, where if somebody is undocumented and is arrested for a separate crime and is held in the county jail, if ICE issues a detainer, which is basically a request to hold a undocumented person for 48 hours so that ICE can come and pick them up. Northampton has said, and I believe Lehigh County follows a similar practice, we will do that if ICE goes and gets a warrant. That's the low-level bar. They have to go before a judge and get a warrant. Show cause and get a warrant. And the reason the county has said we want a warrant is because several years ago, when ICE issued a detainer for a man in Lehigh County, and Lehigh County held that man and turned him over to ICE without a warrant, it turned out ICE had the wrong guy. He was not only the wrong individual, he was an American citizen. And that gentleman sued Lehigh County for millions of dollars. So this is nothing more than just political spin. And I think, yes, we should stand in solidarity with immigrants, but we should call this out for exactly what it is. It's not serious. If they were serious about immigration, there are things that they could do that are real. They could have taken up the bill that was in Congress last year. They could require every employer to use E-Verify. They don't do those
historically
things
high funding for the Border Patrol.
Yeah, they don't do those things because they're not serious about solving the problem. They just want to use it to get elected.
Well, why do substance when you don't have to?
Yeah.
Why tell the truth when you don't have to?
It's like I said to you earlier at dinner. There's a reason that when that list came out yesterday, Mackenzie was at a naturalization ceremony handing out his BS congressional certificates, which is now his thing. Instead of holding a town hall and actually talking to his constituents, he does photo ops and gives them certificates from his office.
Mm-hmm. Let's see if I can do this. Here he is, guys. If you know where he is, please let us know. There's a Q code if you should happen to find or see the congressman. You know, this would be... trying to do this in the camera here. This would be the place. He's on a milk carton. We put him on a milk carton because we don't know where he is. We haven't seen him. So, if you should happen to, please let us know. We don't know where he's at. We haven't seen him. We haven't heard from him. We don't have donor kind of money to give to him to buy a visit. So,
Yeah, we don't have
or a photo op.
American Petroleum Institute money, which was where he was earlier in the week, was meeting with the American Petroleum Institute and natural gas companies.
For everybody at hot101.net, that's DJ Lex, DJ Earl, and the entire hot101.net family, easy for me to say. We will see you again Tuesday evening from 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Thursday evening from 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and right back here again next Sunday from 6. For those of you at hot101.net, we thank you very, very much for allowing us to be part of your Sunday evening, your Tuesday and Thursday evenings as well, but especially today on Sunday. We thank you very much for allowing us to be part of your evening. For you all at hot101.net, the music returns right now, and we will see you again on Tuesday evening, he meant to say, from 8. The music returns right now. For those of you at GCPR, thank you so much for allowing us to be part of your day here on the Kennedy Effect TKE tonight for the 1st of June. We will return Tuesday from 8 p.m., Thursday from 8 p.m., and again right here next Sunday from 6. Now, for those of you at GCPR, you got a little bit of a break. You got about 10, 15, 20 minutes or so. Take the dog for a walk, get some milk and cookies, have some ice cream, check in with the rest of the family, do whatever it is that you need to do. The pre-show for the Villain's View will begin around 8:40, 8:45. Live show begins full throttle from 9 p.m. Following the Villain's View, Conversations with T. Nathan from 11 p.m. All these times are Eastern, unless I tell you differently, of course. Villain's View from around 8:40, 8:45. Full throttle Villain's View show from 9 p.m. Conversations with T. Nathan from 11. And Thomas kicks off your broadcast work week tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. with the sound of coffee. So for Thomas and Gilbert and Gambit and Solid Blue and Pastor Best and Pastor Clinton and everybody, I hope I didn't miss anybody, but everybody at GCPR. For you, little bit of a break. Auto DJ kicks in, catch up on some shows that you missed. Villain's View from 8:45. We will see you again Tuesday the 3rd, Tuesday evening from 8 p.m. We'll see you then. And for those of you on our video streaming platforms, thank you for hanging in and being loyal, as you always are. Special thanks to Mike and Randall for calling in. Special thanks to Donna for being here like she always is. We saw some new names in the chat. You are always welcome here. Always. We will be back with you again on Tuesday from 8 p.m., Thursday from 8 p.m., and again next Sunday for the big Sunday show from 6. For George and Lynn and my dearest Kristen and Daisy the dog, and of course April Riddick, who is responsible for unleashing all of this upon you, I am Jeff Kennedy. Have a great week. We'll see you again on Tuesday. We've done about all the damage we can do for one night. We'll pick it up again on Tuesday, and until then, please